So I've really sort of had this roundabout time with this song, Unravel by TK. I first started with Ado's studio version, then I compared it with the live version that she did, then I did TK's The First Take, and so many of you were like, you really just need to listen to the original. Love the bass. Love the like counter melodies that are happening in relation to the vocals. Super cool arranging and songwriting. His voice, this being a studio recording versus the first take, you often, you get the best of the best in the studio performances. So I'm really excited to hear how he develops this melody that I've become quite familiar with. Just love his breathiness. If you want to start developing natural, comfortable breathiness in your own voice, what I just did is a great way to get there. Just take one note in your head voice, just like TK's doing. Start with breathing and then enter into closure with your head voice. And then breathe out of it. Do that in different parts of your voice. And you journey from ultimate rasp to no rasp, and then breath, this release. And over time, you're able to meld those together. Cool drill, inspired by TK. So this video came out 3 years ago, and it is rock and roll when rock and roll is supposed to be dead. It's not dead. It's just moved around the world a lot. Yes! Beautiful. It's really hard for the pitch correction algorithms in software to do well with breathy, raspy, airy voices. And so I don't think that there's any pitch correction on this section, but his pitch is just wonderful underneath that highly developed and textured rasp. I absolutely love it. It's coming out more in this performance, I think, than it did in the first take performance. Oh, he slides? Oh, it's just beautiful. Sorry, this part right here. Hear how the breaths, the intake, is actually part of the line? He's not just getting air. There's this rhythmic aspect to his breathing. It's percussive. Not on the level of beatboxing, but in that same vein, when the breath becomes an instrument in and of itself. Super cool. Yeah. TK DK has mastered the art of cry with his vocals. And then, going from this supported, brash, mixed voice. He's not doing this. He's not pulling his chest up. He's letting himself cry, moan, whine, and then shape that tone perfectly for the vibe, the emotions he's trying to project. And then he purposely and perfectly pairs this with releases into a pure head voice. Super cool. A big part of why I enjoy discovering new music, new vocalists, is that I'm constantly learning from music I get inspired by and trying things, as you've been able to tell, trying things with my own voice, even if it sounds stupid. Especially if it sounds stupid, I end up unlocking things that I can then use later with my own music. If you'd like help doing that, if you'd like to learn how to pull from your inspiration, put it in your own voice, and grow exponentially with your musical mind and with your voice, click the link below in the video description or the pinned comment and join my free course. Head voice with beautiful rasp. Not right? It's not your typical male chest voice sound. You might just argue, oh, he's just got a really high voice. No, it's particular posture, his particular method, and the way he's choosing to engage. I don't sound like him, but when I cry or whine, or twang, and then lift that higher, don't push up to it, but lift, I get this sort of tone. Experiment with it. See what happens in your own voice. Yeah! Let's hear that again. So you remember I said he had this cried mixed voice brash sound, and then he abandons up into his head voice at strategic points in the melody. Those two things are what is getting him this sound for his scream. So if we start in head voice, unraveling the world, we just sort of speak in head voice, Mickey Mouse, unraveling the world. And then we summon that brash, sort of sound, yeah. And then we let our voice break or yodel between those two sounds. Approach from head voice, You're going to notice your lower chest voice coming in. That's okay. Once you start getting that breaky up sound, head voice, chest voice, head voice, in between. My voice can't decide what to do. I'm going to throw support into that. Unraveling the world! Yeah! And then the areas above our primary chords end up taking the brunt of the airflow. This is how we get this type of scream, and you can hear it. You can hear the crackiness of it. This isn't a full, all-out, traditional, more metal scream. Unraveling the world! It's not that. It's a head voice-based exploitation of what our voices all do. They all crack! Unraveling the world. a guitarist myself, I love whammy pedals. I love that whammy effect. The dynamic of this rock band sound, the rawness to the drums, the way the guitars, the way the whole mix is produced, really enjoy it. Can we say Tom Morello, maybe? That section was a really good example of what I was talking about, where he leans into that cry, whine, twang, ah! And then bridges up, not in a seamless way, up to his head voice. It's part of the art of the melody in how he's using those two different energies and postures out of his voice. Listen to this build. I'm exaggerating it to make a point. Nobody talks like this, right? This is a particular art. This is a particular way that we love hearing sung vocals, and very few vocalists do this well. Jack White's got it down. TK's got it down. Vocalists like Chris Cornell use it in a slightly different way, but this is really cool. So powerful, especially at this end here. So if you want to develop this type of tonality in your own voice, this one line, modifying it or making exercise out of it could really be helpful. So let's remove the words and just use sounds. Nice open vowel. So we don't have to be challenged with shaping the sound through vowels yet. But we start in head voice up there. And if it's too high, lower it. It's okay. The point is we want to start high and go low. And then on this transition, we want to transition to that, dying cat, row, row, whine, twang, crow. And don't worry about cracking. Just feel what it feels like to descend into that sound. Over time, as you learn to get more familiar with the transitions between the two sensations, whiny, brash, mix, cry, and head voice, you'll be able to navigate with more coordination. But it's important that we don't try to go for words or specific vowels while we're getting that initial transition. I like that exit. Sighing out of it. Great singers sigh a lot. Dump air at the end of phrases. There's another great line to work on the transition between head voice and mix. nice dynamics there at the end are priceless. I was going to say that some of what we hear his voice doing texture-wise is the production. We've got doubling going on where he's singing over himself, or maybe a better way to say it would be underneath himself. And that gives it a smoother kind of chorusy effect. But I love the way they have it mixed in that we still hear the nuances of his different tonal variations and the breathiness and all that stuff. We hear a lot of that even though there's a doubling. Sometimes production can get in the way of really hearing the voice, but I don't feel like that's what's happening here. Now there it's not doubled. It's just one vocal right up front. And in these softer areas, I think that's really key to being able to feel intimate with the voice. But certainly in the more intense parts, there's a double going on. Love it. Hopefully you enjoyed my first time experience with this version of the song. And I also hope that you are being inspired to try things with your own voice in light of what we hear TK doing. It's so much fun. You're going to sound dumb. I sounded dumb this whole video, and that's fine. Take a learning opportunity. See what your voice can do. And if you'd like help with that, join my free course, linked in the video description or the pinned comment. And be sure to check out this playlist, which features all the other reactions I've done to different versions of this song. We'll see you for more.